Imagine you're holding a blank book in your hands. Its cover has your name on it. Inside, every page is empty, waiting for you to fill it with the story of your life. The twist? You can only write in it once. There are no rewrites, no second drafts. Every word you put down shapes what comes next. The question is, who's holding the pen? Is it you, or is it the circumstances around you? Most people don't realize that they've given that pen away. They let other people's opinions, the economy, their past failures, and even their fears write their story for them. They wait for the right moment to start going after their dreams, a moment that never actually comes. And so they drift. But here's the truth that Napoleon Hill discovered after studying over 500 of the most successful people of his era. The right moment isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. And you create it the moment you decide to take control of your own mind. Every skyscraper in the city, every breakthrough invention, every world-changing company started the same way, as a single thought in someone's mind. That thought was nurtured, shaped, believed in, and acted upon until it became reality. And if that's true for them, it's true for you. The very first key is desire, a burning, almost obsessive hunger for a specific outcome. Not just, I want to be successful or I want more money. Those are vague wishes, like saying, I want to go somewhere nice without picking a destination. A burning desire is like saying, I am going to Paris on June 10th, and here's my ticket. It's definite, clear, and unquestionable. Hill once said, the starting point of all achievement is desire. Without it, nothing happens. With it, almost anything becomes possible. He told the story of Edwin C. Barnes, a man who had one clear goal, to go into business with the great inventor Thomas Edison. Barnes didn't have money. He didn't have education. He didn't even have a plan for how he'd get to Edison. But he had a burning desire. He hopped on a freight train, arrived at Edison's office, and declared that he wanted to be his business partner. Edison later said he looked like an ordinary tramp. But there was something in his eyes, determination. Barnes didn't get the partnership right away. Instead, he was given a job doing routine work, but he held on to his desire. Years later, the opportunity came. Edison had invented a new machine, and Barnes saw the potential. He sold it so successfully that he became Edison's official partner. Barnes didn't just think about his goal. He lived it until it became real. But desire alone isn't enough. Many people want something badly but never achieve it because they lack the second ingredient, faith. Not blind faith, but a deep, unshakable belief that what you desire is possible and that you are capable of achieving it. Faith works like a mental blueprint. When you visualize something in detail and repeat it to yourself until it feels real, your subconscious mind begins to accept it as fact. That's when the magic happens. Your mind starts spotting opportunities you would have otherwise ignored. This is the reticular activating system at work, the mental filter that decides what information gets through to your awareness. When you train it to look for the people, ideas, and resources that align with your goal, you'll start finding them everywhere. One of Hill's boldest claims is that faith is a state of mind that can be induced by self-suggestion. In other words, you can train yourself to believe. The most successful people do this daily, through affirmations, visualization, and constant reinforcement of their goals. They speak as if their success is inevitable, not because they're delusional, but because they're conditioning their mind to work in harmony with their ambitions. And this brings us to autosuggestion, the practice of feeding your mind with the images and words that shape your beliefs. Think of your mind as a garden. If you don't plant flowers, weeds will grow by default. Autosuggestion is planting the seeds you want. Repeating your goals aloud every morning and night. Imagine what it will feel like when you've achieved them, and letting those images sink into your subconscious. This isn't just theory. Science backs it up. Neuroscience has shown that the brain can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined event and a real one. That's why athletes visualize their performance before a big game. Their muscles respond as if they've already practiced. When you visualize your goal consistently, you're rehearsing your success in advance. But here's where most people fail. They stop at thinking and never move to action. They treat their dreams like lottery tickets, hoping that one day they'll get lucky. Hill was clear on this. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. Luck is simply the meeting point of preparation and opportunity. If you're not preparing, you won't recognize the opportunity even when it's right in front of you. Think of opportunity like a train passing through a station. If you're ready, standing on the platform with your bags packed, you can step on and go. If you're still at home, thinking about maybe packing, the train doesn't stop for you. One of the most underestimated parts of Think and Grow Rich is the idea of specialized knowledge. The world is full of people with general knowledge. They know a little about a lot of things, but not enough about any one thing to create real value. Hill found that the people who created wealth almost always had specialized knowledge in a specific area, and they kept developing it. The key here is not that you need to know everything yourself. In fact, many great leaders don't. What they do is surround themselves with people who have the knowledge they lack. They create what Hill called a mastermind, a network of talented, like-minded individuals working toward a shared goal. This principle alone has changed the fortunes of countless entrepreneurs. Think of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Jobs wasn't the technical genius. Wozniak was. But Jobs had vision, marketing skill, and the ability to inspire, while Wozniak had the engineering mastery. Together, they built Apple. This leads directly into another critical habit: decision-making. Hill observed that successful people make decisions quickly and firmly, and they change them slowly if at all. The unsuccessful often hesitate, overthink, and let others influence them. Why is this important? Because every moment you delay making a decision, you give fear time to take over, and fear is the enemy of progress. Fear wears many masks. Sometimes it's the fear of criticism. What will people think if I fail? Sometimes it's the fear of poverty. What if I lose everything? Sometimes it's even the fear of success. What if I can't handle it? These fears keep people stuck in comfortable but unfulfilling situations. The irony is that fear is almost always about imagined events, not reality. And the moment you take decisive action, much of that fear evaporates. But what happens when you make a decision, take action, and it doesn't work? This is where most people quit. They see failure as a stop sign. He'll argue that failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success. Every failure carries with it a lesson, a seed of equal or greater benefit, if you're willing to look for it. He told the famous story of R.U. Darby and the gold mine. Darby and his uncle had invested in mining equipment and worked a claim for weeks, finding only a small amount of gold. Eventually, they hit a promising vein, but it quickly disappeared. Discouraged, they sold the mine and equipment to a junk dealer for a few $100s. That dealer brought in a mining engineer who discovered that the gold vein ran just 3 feet from where Darby had stopped digging. The dealer went on to make millions. Darby learned from that failure, later applying a lesson in the insurance business, where persistence made him a fortune. Persistence is one of the most important traits in any pursuit. When obstacles appear, and they always do, the persistent person finds a way around them. The quitter looks for an excuse to stop. He'll notice that persistence is not about talent or intelligence. It's about willpower and desire. A weak desire produces weak results. This ties into something deeper: the power of the subconscious mind. Your subconscious doesn't distinguish between reality and imagination. It accepts whatever you consistently feed it. If you dwell on fears, limitations, and problems, your subconscious will find ways to make them real. If you dwell on goals, possibilities, and solutions, it will start directing your attention toward the actions and opportunities that move you forward. And this is why controlling your environment is critical. The people you spend time with, the media you consume, the conversations you have, all of these feed your subconscious. Surround yourself with negativity. It will seep into your thinking without you noticing. Surround yourself with ambition, encouragement, and ideas, and your mind will naturally rise to that level. It's also worth noting that wealth, as Hill defined it, isn't just money. He talked about riches in the form of health, relationships, peace of mind, and personal fulfillment. Money is just one part of a larger picture. Some people chase money at the expense of everything else, only to find themselves lonely, unhealthy, and unhappy. True riches come from balance, from building success in all areas of life. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Building anything meaningful requires sacrifice. You can't keep all your current habits, distractions, and comforts and expect a dramatically different result. You will have to give up certain things, maybe certain people, maybe certain routines, maybe certain pleasures, in order to get what you truly want. That's the price of admission for success. One of the most misunderstood parts of success is that it rarely comes in a straight line. We imagine a smooth climb from where we are to where we want to be. But in reality, it's a jagged, unpredictable path, full of false starts, dead ends, and sudden breakthroughs. The people who reach their goals aren't the ones who never stumble. They're the ones who keep moving forward no matter how many times they fall. He'll notice that many people give up right before they were about to succeed. It's as if the universe tests you, asking, "How badly do you really want this?" The truth is, persistence isn't glamorous. It's often boring, repetitive, and lonely. But it's in those moments, when no one is watching and no immediate reward is in sight, that you're building the mental toughness that will carry you through when opportunities finally arrive. And opportunities do arrive, often disguised as hard work, problems, or even failures. Edison didn't fail 1,000 times when inventing the light bulb. He discovered 1,000 ways that didn't work. Each failure was simply a step toward the one method that did. But persistence becomes far easier when you have a clear purpose. Hill saw that the most successful people had a definite major purpose, one central goal that gave meaning to their efforts. Without it, it's easy to get distracted by short-term temptations or discouraged by setbacks. With it, even obstacles become part of the adventure. The purpose also acts as a filter. When you know exactly what you want, you can say no to anything that doesn't move you toward it. That's not being rigid. That's being strategic. Energy is finite. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that could change your life. There's also a surprising element to Hill's findings, the role of imagination. Every invention, every business, every work of art started as an image in someone's mind. He'll talk about two types of imagination: synthetic, where you rearrange existing ideas into new combinations, and creative, where new ideas seem to appear from nowhere. Both are fueled by feeding your mind with diverse experiences, knowledge, and challenges. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history happened when someone from one field applied an idea from another. Henry Ford applied the concept of the assembly line from meatpacking plants to car manufacturing. That's synthetic imagination at work, connecting dots that others hadn't thought to connect. But imagination without action is just fantasy. That's where organized planning comes in. Hill discovered that every successful person he studied had a plan for achieving their goal, and if the plan didn't work, they made a new one. They didn't change the goal, they changed the approach. One of the biggest mistakes people make is expecting their first plan to work perfectly. It almost never does. The point of a plan is not to be flawless from the start, but to give you a direction and a framework to adapt from. And this is where the mastermind principle becomes invaluable. When you bring together a group of people with different skills, experiences, and perspectives, you multiply your ability to solve problems. But it's not just about knowledge, it's about energy. The right group inspires you, challenges you, and holds you accountable. The wrong group drains you, distracts you, and pulls you down to their level. Choose carefully. He'll also warn about the dangers of procrastination and indecision. Many people never get started because they're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect conditions. The perfect moment doesn't exist. You don't wait until you're in shape to start exercising. You start exercising to get in shape. The same is true for business, relationships, and any meaningful pursuit. Action comes first. Confidence follows. Finally, he'll emphasize something that might surprise you: the role of emotion, especially sex energy, in achievement. He believed that sexual energy, when redirected into creative and productive outlets, could fuel extraordinary accomplishments. This wasn't about repression. It was about channeling a powerful instinct into building, creating, and leading. Many of history's greatest figures, he argued, had mastered this art of transmutation, turning raw desire into focused drive. Fear, Hill said, is the single greatest obstacle between you and everything you want. It's not lack of money or lack of education or lack of opportunity. It's fear. And the cruel thing about fear is that it's rarely about something real. It's about imagined scenarios, worst-case possibilities that your mind plays on repeat until you start believing they're inevitable. Hill identified 6 basic fears that control most people's lives: the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. These fears often hide in the background, influencing decisions without us even realizing it. For example, someone might stay in a job they hate not because they love it, but because they fear the financial insecurity of leaving. Another person might avoid starting a business not because they lack ideas, but because they fear what their friends and family would say if it failed. The problem with fear is that it paralyzes action, and without action, even the best ideas remain nothing more than dreams. Hill's antidote to fear was deliberate mental control, the conscious choice to direct your thoughts toward what you want rather than what you're afraid of. This isn't about ignoring reality or pretending problems don't exist. It's about refusing to feed your mind with images of failure. It's about replacing what if it goes wrong with what if it goes right. Over time, this mental shift changes not only your emotions, but also your behavior, because your subconscious begins working in alignment with your goals instead of against them. And this is why faith, not in the religious sense necessarily, but in the sense of unwavering belief, is essential. Faith is the ability to hold a vision in your mind and act as if it were already inevitable, even when there's no visible evidence yet. It's the fuel that keeps you moving when results are slow to appear. But faith without action is just wishful thinking. The people Hill studied didn't just believe, they acted. They acted when they were ready, and they acted when they weren't. They acted when the path was clear, and they acted when it wasn't. And every action, no matter how small, created momentum. Momentum is a strange thing. At first, it feels like nothing is happening, like you're pushing a massive flywheel that doesn't budge. But if you keep pushing inch by inch, the wheel begins to turn. And once it's turning, it takes less effort to keep it moving. Eventually, it has so much momentum that it keeps going even if you step back for a moment. That's how success often works. Slow, invisible buildup followed by what looks like overnight results. Another truth Hill pointed out is that success rarely happens in isolation. You need other people, not just for skills and knowledge, but for encouragement, feedback, and perspective. The most dangerous place to be is alone with your doubts. That's why the mastermind principle isn't just a nice idea. It's a necessity. But here's the catch. Not everyone in your current circle will support your ambitions. Some will be indifferent. Some will be quietly resentful. Some will actively try to pull you back to where you were, because your growth makes them uncomfortable. You will have to choose your dreams or their approval. This is where courage comes in. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's a decision to act despite it. Every time you choose action over avoidance, you train yourself to be braver. And bravery compounds, just like interest in a bank account. In the end, Hill's philosophy can be summed up in a single pattern: desire, belief, action, persistence, and adaptation. Desire gives you the goal. Belief keeps you committed. Action moves you forward. Persistence keeps you moving through setbacks. Adaptation ensures you learn from every experience. If you live by that pattern, fear loses its grip. You stop waiting for the right moment and start creating it. And in doing so, you move from simply thinking about riches, in every sense of the word, to actually living them. At this point, you might be asking yourself, can I really do this? Can I overcome fear, take bold action, and achieve something extraordinary? The answer is yes, but only if you commit fully without reservation. Hill's studies weren't about luck, inheritance, or connections. They were about mindset, discipline, and the relentless pursuit of a clear goal. The journey won't be easy. It will test you in ways you can't predict. You will face setbacks, critics, and moments of self-doubt. But every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Every time you persist despite fear, every time you learn from failure, instead of being crushed by it, you're building a foundation that no one can take away from you. Imagine your life as a garden. What you plant and nurture today, whether it's ideas, habits, or relationships, will grow into your tomorrow. Neglect it, and weeds of fear and procrastination will take over. Tend it with focus, effort, and faith, and it will flourish beyond what you imagined. Hill's message is timeless. Success is not about avoiding obstacles. It's about mastering yourself. It's about controlling your thoughts, directing your energy, and refusing to let temporary circumstances dictate your future. When you internalize these principles, you gain something far more valuable than money or status. You gain freedom. The freedom to create, to explore, and to become the person you were meant to be. So here's what you can do starting today. Write down your definite major purpose. Make it crystal clear. Commit to it daily. Surround yourself with people who lift you up and challenge you. Take consistent action, even when you feel fear or doubt. Keep learning. Keep adapting, and never let temporary setbacks define your trajectory. The truth is, you already have everything you need inside you. Imagination, determination, persistence, and the power to control your mind. What's missing for most people is a choice to act decisively every single day until momentum carries them to results they once thought impossible. Success is not reserved for a chosen few. It's available to anyone willing to embrace these principles. Take responsibility and refuse to quit. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve is the commitment to keep moving forward no matter what. So now it's up to you. Take the lessons from this video, internalize them, and act. Fear will try to hold you back, but your persistence, imagination, and faith will propel you forward. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize you've built a life far beyond what you once imagined. If this video inspired you, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future content that can help you unlock your full potential. Share your thoughts in the comments. What principle are you going to apply first? Let's keep growing together. And remember, your future is in your hands, so start shaping it today.